Book of Romans 12:2. Book of Romans 12:2, you heard? Do not conform. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. Mercury, Cazimi, Uranus and Moon conjunct Venus, last decan of Leo, hosting Mars in Aries, as well as Vesta at the cusp of Scorpio and Sagittarius. The renewing of our mind answers the Pisces full moon eclipse towards a new beginning, Virgo solar eclipse that progresses us forward from the point of crisis in Pisces eclipse, which also incorporates Saturn, karma, review, karmic reviews, we have a lot to look forward to from the renewing of our mind. And there's much to examine, and rather or not, we've allowed ourselves to release the grasping mind at the South Node, Virgo. Saturn will be bringing karmic lessons of review. There's no new karma moving right now. No, it's only a review. Whatever you were going through of karma is a review. Slow down, be present, and remember what you suffered to learn. Learn the obedience through the things that He suffered. Second Corinthians 10, 4 and 5. Just listen. Taking captive every thought to make it obedient to the Christ impulse. Taking captive every thought to make it obedient to the Christ impulse. We know that the sun is an expression of the Christ impulse. We know that Mercury and Virgo certainly represents our thoughts that could require some control lest it get out of hand with seeking control of what is outside of it. So there's a beautiful advice to take captive every thought to make it obedient to the Christ impulse or the heart center. What it means for you is what's true. Also, I love to share Colossians 3:2. Set your mind on things above, not on earthly things. Set your mind on things above, not on earthly things. Virgo, Pisces axis. Virgo, Pisces axis. Ephesians 4:23. Be renewed in the spirit of your minds. Be renewed in the spirits of your minds. A renewal is here. A new beginning is here. And I want us to align and be intentional with the fact that that is where we are. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان وبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. So, check it out. What we got coming up? September 12th. September 12th. We have Mercury, Cazimi. Mercury, reborn as he crosses the sun. This is that our mind state. Our mind state. It's come to full capacity. And what that particular mind state that we have been walking with, it's come to the end of what it can do for us. Understand that. Imagine the mind that created the complications that you have, that I have, using that same mindset to undo it, heal it, fix it, figure it out. Not so. We have to renew our minds if we expect a renewal of our life and reality, a renewal of our being. We have to renew the mind. So the favor comes at this time to renew the mind, and simultaneously we have Uranus at the first degree of Gemini conjunct with the moon, the mind and the mind. Understand? We know that Uranus is the exponent of Mercury. Uranus brings in revelation that our cognitive mind that relates to the dense reality, the mathematical and geometrical familiarity of our world. Uranus helps us to tap into capacities of genius, the capacities that step into what is possible beyond what we have tried, beyond what we possibly have experienced, beyond what we first entertained or were interested in perceiving or conceiving. The moon in of itself, this is the intuitive mind. And at the basis, we have the conscious and the conscience. The conscience or conscience, which is conscience, okay? This is a noun, while conscious, it is a verb and adverb. That goes with Mercury. So both the conscious and the conscience, the moral compass, our intuitive connection to the status of being, security, wellness, connectedness to emotional vitality or nurturing, so on and so forth, a moral constitution, and Mercury, our mathematical awareness. These two aspects of mind are having a renewal. And our conscience, okay? The moon. Now, after initiating a full moon phase eclipse out of Pisces, she meets with Uranus in order to bring those burdens to the only one who can find solutions through the outer rings of Saturn and what is possible beyond what we have ever opened our minds to or considered as solutions and possibilities, and to also expand our sense of conscience outside of the limitations of programming, emotional manipulation, control, provocation, so on and so forth, bringing our conscience outside of those limitations and connecting it with the thrones. I say the thrones because it's reestablishing our moral compass with heaven instead of what we found ourselves bound, obligated, and burdened with in the projections that others could have had upon our conscience of what we failed to do for them, the guilt or the shame that we were expected to accept as assignments from them and attachments from others. And this is where our conscience finds its way out of that entrapment, that debt, the moral debt, the moral burden that comes along with being authentic. Uranus is saying, I'm going to help you to expand your mind in such a way to where what seemed like dualities in these subject matters of how your own conscience is put against you, your own conscience has been working against you, or there are antagonists or other people who may have deliberately or unwittingly used your own conscience against you. Through Uranus, there's a way out through a disposition of detachment. And I say detachment because this is an ethereal expression with Gemini, and that disposition of detachment is to observe the heart and the mind without identifying with what was projected upon the heart and the mind, but being an observer, a witness, one who testifies, one who sees, one who reports, a journalist on the ground, someone who interacts with the world, but not necessarily of particular expressions of the world. We found a new way to keep our peace, to keep our sanity, to keep our clarity and our dignity. And we found it through the power of detachment through Gemini, examining our reality through the heart and the head without going so far as to attach and assign ourselves to what people say and think, to the opinions that people have of us, the feedback that we may have been getting, the words, the gestures, the hints, the silent manipulation, so on and so forth. These type of things that had us a mess when it comes to that Pisces expression and 12th house. I don't want to disappoint. I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to be disliked. I don't want to be isolated. Uranus teaches you how to say, I could care, but I really don't give a damn what you think of me. It helps you to get there. So Uranus is freeing, giving deliverance to your own conscience as part of freeing the mind. A beautiful symphony taking place in the fact that we know Gemini having expression and meeting in the middle between the heart and the head. The heart and the head also expressed beautifully with this Cazimi that we have in Virgo. Self-criticism from the heart and the head. Self-criticism. It's a renewal of the mind that releases it from self-criticism. That releases it from destroying yourself with your own tongue and your own thoughts. Sabotaging yourself with self-defeating thoughts that you took ownership of, possibly from the feedback and others' projections of their own fears, hatred, or insecurity in them, reflected in you, or vice versa. This is where the mind is renewed to release such burdens. The rigid nature of being fixated on controlling what is inevitable, controlling what is futile to attempt to control. Can you control the opinions of other people? Can you control what they think or what they feel about you? Can you go into their mind and change their opinions? Could that have something to do with why you may not have been yourself, authentic, real, a cookie cutter, following the crowd, safely identifying with what you see around you? You take so much value in what other people have to think or say about you. Why is that? This Cazimi is a renewal of that active mind that relates to its own identity in itself, just as the moon relates to the status of the self in this realm. Am I okay? Uranus is telling us if we can open and expand our mind, yes, you are okay. There's a bigger picture to notice. There's a more authentic version of your life to live and express that's far more fulfilling than the idea that fulfillment could come from perfect obedience to other people's desires of your own image and personal expressions and destiny. Be merciful to yourself. At the same time that this is happening, we do have Venus in the last decan of Leo. We know that the last decan of Leo, this is a territory that is co-ruled by Mars and Aries. It is to have your back against the wall, and you'll fight every last one of them motherfuckers. You telling niggas to bring it on. That's where you got the back on the wall, and you telling niggas, bring it on. I'm ready for that shit. Set it off. You heard? And so, with Venus in this position, last decan of Leo, we are emboldened about what we desire to express and what we desire to feel and experience through that expression. It is intensified, and it's something that we're willing to fight for. That in combination with Uranus embodying us through the lunar impulse, it is a revolutionary interception, a rebellious download. It is an intuitive read of the self and what we owe to the self. Liberation, a setting free, a rebellious streak that allows us to write our own story. Taking the feedback as it will. After all, Gemini helps us to understand we are only journalists in this world anyways. Not to take it personal. We're journalists. We're getting the story. Wherever we are, we're just here to get the story. And we share the story because wisdom does pass that way. This Cazimi at Virgo, we all know that is part of what we're being prepared for with our Virgo eclipse that's coming up. It gives us a new beginning that answers the ending at the Pisces eclipse that we just came from. So, the new eclipse or new moon eclipse at Virgo coming up, this is when, through the new mind of the Mercury Cazimi, this is when we will realize what acceptance looks like. This is where we will realize the opportunities in our schedule, in our responsibilities, and the capacity that we have because we have decided to modify that to a personalized ideal. A self-preservation ideal, a self-expression ideal. It's where we realize the opportunity in releasing so much burden of other people's ideals and opinions, holding expectations upon us. What it's answering is the self-sabotage that has brought us to a point of exhaustion, humiliation, and restriction in life, where the entertaining of fears, shame, guilt, addictions, escapism and distractions, self-victimization. We see how we became our own thieves and robbers of our treasures, of our fort. of our soul and the gifts that we have, we robbed our own selves. The eclipse is powerful enough for us to find utter rejection for continuation of these patterns in our life. No more. I'm not running anymore. I'm going to turn around and I'm going to face my enemies. I'm not hiding anymore as I am. I will be accepted or I will be rejected. Either way, I am that I am, and nothing can change that except me. Real love isn't something that I have to fearfully fight for. It's something that reflects in all of those who choose to stand peacefully in my company. It closes these 12th house themes. We're at our 12th house. We spent the first part of our life in cycles of undoing, self-entrapment, generational curses assigned to us. And at some point, after our 29th year, we come to realize you may have been chosen to break a particular curse in your bloodline, or it's time to become who you were looking for. The self-undoing was a necessary series of battles in a war that taught us humility, powerlessness, surrender, accountability, it also taught us what we get from self-victimhood. It taught us what we get when we lack boundaries and accountability. It taught us what addictions can do to us when we get carried away and what we use to escape, pacify, or finding ways to cope instead of create. We find that the shadows that we packed away were never meant to be hidden away behind approvals that we longed for, waited for, hoped for, or given up hope for in order to express it. On the other side of all of that, it is spiritual power, spiritual force, spiritual authority that began with suffering. A powerful transformation took place, and this is the time where we all are being authorized to use that power in order to bring great healing and intensified light to the earth collectively, as this is the time that we all agree to be here in the earth to do such. We are fortunate to be in Earth 93 million miles away from the sun, traveling 1,037 and a third miles per hour on a mass 6 sextillion tons, a unit followed by 21 ciphers tilted at 22 and a third degrees. Yes, we are fortunate to be here in this time on this mission, and we are needed. We're needed more than ever. Our focus is required. Clarity in our identity, it is required. Identity is where it all begins. This Cazimi, it pairs the identity and refreshment to the mindset, a renewal or clarity of who you are, and the mind's complete enthusiasm about connecting us with the pathways, the crossroads that arrives us at that perfect expression. Let's not underestimate the power of Gemini at this time, and that we're meant to recover our critical thinking. We have to become thinkers. Our opinions, they have to find the way out of the socially engineered ideals and limitations. If someone speaks against or does not speak in flattering sense about what you have sentimental attachment to, if you're easily so triggered and wound up about what you have invested so much emotion and your identity into, our arrogance could have us to create misfortune for ourselves, and thinking that what justifies truth or what explains truth is how much emotion you invested into that ideal. No, this is not the case. Cognitive dissonance is a necessary process. It is a necessary process that weighs the value of the Mercury Cazimi in and of itself. It dispels cognitive dissonance. And so does Uranus as conjunct with the moon. It dispels cognitive dissonance, clarity, confidence, acceptance of the true identity as it is being evolved consistent with Aquarius Pluto expression. Only Uranus can give us access to such an innovative ideal that has not been conceptualized yet. If it's truly from the heart, it's from heaven. A heavenly expression of yourself is meant to be here to serve. But now, we may comprehend it on the other side of fear. So, it's my intention to point out this opportunity with this Cazimi, and that a new mind is coming in, and we should cherish it. And the new mind, we need not close it or place limitations upon that mind. And the conscience, conscience, our lunar expression, being anointed by Uranus in Gemini, it suggests that the capacity and the algorithm of our emotional threshold, it needs not follow patterns and ideals of what we have had long, ongoing attachments to, causing continuous trauma, fearful reflexes, trauma bonding, turmoil in the spirit, the inner child, only to find it fully projected in every relationship that we initiate. We're fortunate to have facilitation, provision to make way out. A full moon is a closure, and this describes assistance with closure. It is complementary support with closure, something we should have much gratitude for. After this Mercury, after this solar eclipse in Virgo, which is the second of new moon phases in Virgo in a single month, it's a resetting of the patterns of the moon, which now will follow after full moon. So the full moon now will be the precedence of what's unfolding, and the new moon will be the solution to that precedence of what is unfolding. So we will have to follow that particular pattern. What will happen from here is that the new moon phases will start to take place at the latter degrees of each sign. What this lets us know is that we are at a collective spiritual maturation collectively. So there's a new standard collectively with all of us and what is expected of us and how we show up in our world. That speaks to wisdom. As the latter degrees of every sign, it indicates wisdom. The farthest degrees indicates understanding. So you have the first degrees, knowledge, first decan, second decan, wisdom, third decan, understanding. So wisdom and understanding are now the degrees of lunar openings and closings, which indicates a reality that we have to show up in mastery for. Masters don't get to be victims. Masters don't get to say, oops, I didn't know. Masters are teachers. Masters are demonstrators. Masters have disciples. And unlike many celebrities who say, I didn't sign up to be a role model, I'm not a role model, we don't get to say that. No, you don't. We don't get to say that. And we will be held accountable for the example that we set. Because whether you want disciples or not, you have disciples and they are watching. Whether you want them to or not, you're responsible for them. Every one of you has mastery. Every one of you has gifts, skills that you brought with you from heaven, whether you acknowledge it or not. And you're expected now to show up in life as masters, not people who pretend like they didn't know better. Pretend like they didn't see this or didn't see that. Pretend like you don't understand, and you do. Pretend. This also indicates a sharper capacity to create, co-create, and innovate. That because wisdom and understanding are intuitive expressions. They are intuitive expressions. Every master number, numerology, includes an expression of Uranus and the moon. Every master number. And as you see, the mind, Mercury Cazimi, is being renewed upon a crown of mastery, which is Uranus and the moon. Uranus and the moon are the detailed impulses that incorporates mastery in the number 11, 22, and 33 natal chart. Every time. It is the moon and Uranus. Every time. So this shows a matriarchal crowning. That matriarchal crowning is a freeing up of the conscience. Imagine who we are when our conscience is free. Imagine the perfection, the beauty, the mastery of what we create and co-create when we don't feel shame or guilt. When our conscience is free. When we adhere to a moral compass internally that has us to keep our conscience free, thus not subjugating ourselves to regrets, to burdens, to oppression, to injustice of the self, to corruption of the self, to pain and trauma that we inflict upon the self, and now the conscience is warped. Refusing to listen to the inner child, you end up with a warped conscience. And then you go blaming everybody for what you create of pain and misery and shame. This is a different story. Our conscience is now being set free and cleared. Do you understand what I'm saying? You and I could have been walking around so long at this Pisces expression of ourself in 12th house of our natal chart, okay? Right here, our conscience has been burdened for so long, knowingly and unknowingly, and Uranus decides to give us deliverance from that burden, that chain, that attachment, that guilt, that fear. And what this does is it opens up receptivity. It expands the conscious in order to have greater capacity to receive and express love, compassion, understanding, sympathy, empathy, even humor. When the conscious is free, you become the golden child. Look at children when they have a clear conscience. The hearts are illuminated. But as you grow and you pile it up on your shoulders, you get darker and darker. Can't look people in the eye. You drink yourself to death. You fornicate yourself to death. Music all day, TV and distractions, anything but to hear your inner child talk, anything but to hear your own conscience. Drown it out with another drink, another blunt, whatever the case may be. More girls, more parties, more experience, more noise, more events. Because the conscience is not free. Having a clear conscience, it completely frees your expression. It causes sincerity to channel through your speech. It causes truth and honesty to flow naturally and not with hesitation. It causes sincerity to be the default of your expression. It opens the pathways for depth of connection without control and attachment. It crowns you in Scorpio. Do you understand what's taking place here? The Uranus and Moon is a crown. In Ifa, Yoruba African spiritual tradition, Uranus is archetype of who is called Oba Shango. And you say Oba Shango, Oba meaning king, King Shango, the god of thunder and lightning. This king is with his mother, Yemeya, and they together are crowning our heads with matriarchal revelation that has us to innovate our expression of welfare in the earth, care, compassion, community, family, relationships. This expansion of Jupiter, of Cancer, through Jupiter. Family, compassion, love, and community. Our matriarchal intention to idealize what service of care can I provide for the people? What service of care? How can I serve the matriarchal will in me on earth? This crown is positioned uniquely where you have Gemini. Where is Gemini in your chart? Right there, from here on out, you will have a free conscience concerning this expression of your life, this area of your life. Your conscience will be freed up here. What does that automatically make you? Through Uranus, it makes you a revolutionary. It makes you a rebel. For what? A revolutionary for the matriarchal queendom. A rebel for the matriarchal queendom. Cancer. Moon. That is a revolutionary for humanity. Our inalienable rights. Supreme law of the land. The natural person, not the fictitious character. Who we are at the core as true and living beings in the image and likeness of the Most High. Uranus giving revelation for this intention that we should serve this need that we have collectively through the talents and gifts that we have mastered. Now let it be known and remember that because this is Gemini and Uranus has the intention to give our minds access to what is beyond the inner rings of Saturn and to the outer rings of Saturn via Aquarius algorithm of consciousness and spirit, this does indicate the higher exponential expression of Gemini, which is Uranus. As the Lord of Gemini is Mercury, its higher expression is Uranus. Thus, in the trine, Gemini, Libra, and Uranus are the same expression that spirals from the inner to the outer world. Gemini with the self, heart, and head. Libra, self and others through the astral. And Aquarius, the mastery of self and others that engages opportunities of the world market through the world communities. It is the same expression that spirals outward. It is a law of Obatala, who owns the heads. Research that. Thank you very much. Obatala and the Ori. Okay? Obatala and the Ori. O-R-I. Gave you a note. So, The higher exponential expression of Gemini, we know that to be wisdom and love arrived from duality. As Mercury perceives duality, Uranus helps us to perceive or comprehend the revelation of wisdom and love. So the crown, it is to be crowned in our conscience. With intuitive insight of wisdom and love. That is the crown. Mercury in Pisces axis, the dense material reality is not separate from your spiritual practice and devotion. It is not separate. It is one and the same. Is what is to be understood from this polarity. So as your refined gifts and talents serve, it is an expression of your spiritual devotion, channeling through that skill set. By this time, we have Vesta at the cusp of Scorpio and Sagittarius. That is, I'm referring to the 12th, where we have Mercury Cazimi. At the cusp, a transformation usually takes place, or transcendence. You're in between two realities that you're relating with. And the reality that you're relating with asks for your most righteous devotions, the devotions that you have in your life. Is that of personal transformation, to regain empowerment in your life, to restore your sense of power in your life, to incorporate shadows into your expression and not run away from it, but to take ownership of it and see that beauty is only in imperfection. The devotion now changes to expanding our experiences, our horizons. Our experiences and our horizons. And this is as part of Jupiter in Pisces, as well as your 9th house, circumstantial realities. You have to expand that particular part of your life expression. And what I mean by expand is you need more experience there. Experience from the new mind, experience with the anointed crown. As I remind you again, Mercury Cazimi, Uranus and the moon conjunct. It's a return to engagement with the outer world. After many seasons of isolation in context to the South Node, Virgo, number 9, Hermit card, process, which number 9 saves us from the detriment of Venus. Understand. Sagittarius is the exit from that transformational process to re-engage with the outer world. It is also a desire to collect one's own experiences and conclusions from new perspectives. What is the new perspective? The new perspective is you being free from the bondage of that Pisces karma, the 12th house karma. Getting on the other side of that karma, the world looks different now. Venus and Mars, I'm emboldened now to engage relationships. I'm emboldened now to recreate my sense of value in the world. I'm emboldened. Mars in Aries expresses through the last decan of Leo. That is consistent with the fiery Sagittarius, the spreading, contagious, passionate nature of the centaur Sagittarius. I have to feel this reality in the body. I have to know from the body what this is about. And I can't contain it and I won't contain it. I have to respond. I'm finally free. And when Juno gets into Sagittarius, it is what you are committed to expanding in your life. Activation of the fire trine. Well, at least not until Jupiter gets there. Let me slow down with that. Now, Ceres is still retrograde in Aries. Let's not overlook it. Where am I with how I take care of myself? Where am I with how I am my source of encouragement, my source of care? Where am I with facilitating what my identity needs to thrive? Because it's not anyone else's responsibility except mine. How am I doing with that? What lessons have I been learning about what it means to take care of my cosmic identity? This is not Ceres in the first house, unless you have Aries at the first house, that is, okay? That's a different context. But Aries in other placements of your chart other than the first house, it indicates your spiritual calling. It is your spiritual calling. How are you caring for that part of your identity? Nurturing, pouring into it, facilitating it, giving it what it needs to remain in that expression. Fuel for the fire of Aries. How are you feeding that fire? Understand, it's not anybody else's responsibility but yours. So anyway, What I'm here to do is cause conversations that take place in your house with your loved ones. I'm here to cause people to think outside the box. I'm here to provoke and bring out, up, and forward the thoughts that you hide, the things you think but you won't say. Understand, I'm not looking for agreement. I'm not looking to be right. I'm looking to cause thinking to occur and conversations. Understand that, because that's where all the good things start to happen. So anyway, schedule for your personal natal birth chart reading with me behind the scenes, because behind the scenes is where the best work takes place. Understand that. I could get up here all day and run my yap. I could just talk on here all day, and I'm happy everybody's here. But where it really happens at is behind the scenes. So be sure that you schedule on the regular for your natal birth chart readings and inquiries. Stay up to date to know what it means on a personal level for you. It does invest as a sense of empowerment for you and clarity, no doubt. So, like, share, subscribe. Thank you for being here. Get the conversation started in the comment section in a positive light. We really appreciate every person here. Also, shout out to Susan. Y'all know Susan, you know what I'm saying? Going over there, like, share, subscribe as well, be neighborly, you know what I'm saying? We all a community of, light workers out here. We all a community of people who want to learn ourselves and grow and be the best version of ourselves. And that is something to celebrate every single day. The infamous astrologist, you heard?